Hello to my two favourite red cap mushroom hoarders, Scarlet women, and anyone else who's wandered across this video. That has some like bad implications. I just thought I'd sit down and go through like a fun, easy kind of face, like a base, little cute freckle moment going on, and go through my red lipsticks because I like red. If I'm not wearing like a clear lip gloss, I'll go the complete opposite end and I'll go for BAM! Red lip. Popped on my primer for today. That was the Becca First Light Priming Filter. If I were going outside, I would pop on an SPF. Typically what I'd use is the Untrasun, which is a SPF of 30. My other favourite, which I typically use right at the end of my makeup, would be the Coola setting spray. Those would be my kind of favourite ones. The Coola one is a bit pricey. I've just done my brows, which I did off camera because you've seen them enough times already. It's my normal soap brow, and I've currently been really into the Wow Brow. I used it in one of my videos and I've kind of fallen back into it rather than my normal Anastasia pencil. So base today, I am going to be using my contour sticks and my concealer. This is a much colder kind of grey tone. I'm gonna pop that on in just the places where there are shadows. Medium Sculpt, which is kind of a bronzery shade. I'm going to take that. I am then going to take my Wet n Wild concealer. This one's in the light medium beige. And just for a little bit of extra brightening, this is in the shade Fair Neutral. This is very light. I'm using the MAC Fix Plus and spray my whole face and then blend this. I would go in with eyeshadow primer. I'm just going to take some powder just so I don't get any creasing under my eyes. So this is my Coty Airspun one, just on the brush there. And I'm going to look up and just sweep that. This is also one of my favourite powders as it gives a little bit of extra coverage. So as well, I'm going to pop some bronzer on. And if like here it looks a little bit too dark, I then take my powder brush sometimes and just buff it on and it can even it out. So for the eyes, so I'm going to go in to my Kevyn palette and into Cool Tan. I'm just going to take that through the crease. And just slightly further up just to give it an appearance of a wing. You can probably tell by now I like to wing my eyeshadow out. I'm then going to go into that ruddy shade, which is the darker brown in there. So this brush has nothing on it. The last thing it was used for, I think, was face powder. And I'm just going to use that to fluff a little bit more. So there's just very neutral, kind of warm shades to add to that shape. I'm then going to take a smaller blending brush and back in with that ruddy earth shade, and that's going into my lash line, lower lashes. One of my top tips for making a look a little bit sharper is if you have any kind of beauty sponge that has a straight edge, pop a little bit of your face powder on there. I'm just going to drag down a little bit. I'm going to leave that where it is for a little bit. Make sure you don't get it if you've got any kind of creasing that goes on here. Just avoid that or just don't do it because you don't want to add too much excess powder. The only product that I use for fake freckles is Freck. So Freck is a little bottle here and it's got like an eyeliner kind of applicator, it's a little brush, and you just dot it wherever you want the freckles. Your pressure depends on the amount of the size of the dot really. And then when that's still a little bit wet, you want to tap. And then when you tap, you also transfer that colour elsewhere, so it's good to do it a little bit quicker. The longer you leave it, the darker they'll be. And you see that like fills in half the cheek already just with that tapping. I just dot a few around wherever I put that bronzer because I think it can often look really weird if you've just got them across here, because obviously they don't look completely natural, but they're gonna look even less natural if suddenly you've got no what else on your face that has any. I'm feeling like a little bit of blush as well. I'm gonna pop that on now. You can do it before the freckles or after. Sometimes I find doing things like highlighter and blush after make them blend in a bit more, because then they're sat under some makeup. My super duper fluffy brush, which will just brush away that powder. A powder highlight today, so I'm gonna go back into that Kevyn palette that I use for the eyes and go into the candlelight powder. It's not like a gleaming powder. It's more of a lit from within kind of shebang. When I'm doing something a little bit more bold, like a red, I like to add that highlight and that little bit of contour there just because it emphasizes the natural shape and helps with making your lips look fuller but more naturally. And I'm doing a Cupid's bow, and I'm gonna take a really small, so maybe that blending brush we used on the eye, and go into the sculpting powder as well on there. And just into, this thing has a name but I can't remember what it is. I'm just gonna deepen that a little bit more. And just under my lips. I'm just gonna pop on my mascara and then I'll be back. Next up we're gonna do lips. You don't have to do a lip, you could just leave it at this. Pop on some spray. You could just pop on some setting spray, Coola's done. Like it's a cute little simple thing. I like to add a bit of a red lip. So I have a few red lipsticks and I've just swatched them all. So we've got, these are our shades. That bottom shade there is my Wet n Wild red liner. I only have the one liner in red. If I'm going for a darker shade, I tend to just use my Nip and Fab in Espresso, which is a brown, and I'll do that in the corners. I'm often too lazy for a lip liner. Next up from that we have my Rimmel Apocalips gloss. This does go all over your face. It's not the best for a night out, so I stopped really wearing it a lot, but I do like a glossy finish. We have the LA Splash. These were part of like an angel and demon kind of collection. Gorgeous packaging, like that's stunning. And it's got a metallic kind of finish. I don't know if you can tell, it's just, so I like to mix that one with this one, which is the other LA Splash one, which I've worn so much. I love this, and their liquid lipsticks are amazing. Nars Audacious lipsticks is the shade Charlotte. It's more of a berry tone. After that, the one that started it all with my red obsession. This is probably far too old. This is my Rihanna Viva Glam MAC. Got a gold glitter that runs through it, and it's quite a bright kind of coral red compared to the others. A lot of them are more true reds or blue reds. I got when I was like probably 15, 16, so it's definitely too old. Fenty Stunner Lip Paint in Uncensored. As you can tell, for a liquid lip, this one smudges, which is why I prefer the LA Splash one, because the LA Splash does not smudge anywhere near as much as this. I've worn this on nights out thinking it was going to be better. Ooh, did I look like a hot mess afterwards? So I'm going to start with my lip pencil. So I'm going to start in this outer corner and slowly sketch in up to my Cupid's bow. I like this pencil because it is so creamy. Want to make sure you get right into the corners, and then I use my tongue to push the lip back up because I've got a bit of a ledge here. And I'm going to add a little bit of an ombre effect, so I'm going to take that espresso as well. LA Splash. I don't know the shade name. I think the collection is called the Wickedly Divine collection. It's got these incredible brushes that just hug the lip. So I just freed my fringe from its confines. I'm going to also pop on that gloss. just because the liquid lip as well, that one's running out, so usually I can do my full mouth in just one dip. I'm going to have to retire my favourite red. But if anyone has any recommendations for red lipsticks, I'm all ears. I love red lips. She's cute. Let's zoom you right out and you can see my mini ears. Adorable. So yeah, I've done some little swatches for you. And you can have a look at this cute little freckle base. A kazoo! You can go now.